Oh, hello there, my name is Brianna, and I like to come on here and teach people makeup as if they are toddlers. When you watch makeup tutorials, some of them are not beginner friendly, like they will skip over the most important steps like how to blend, how to pack eyeshadow on. They'll just say what brushes to use but won't tell you why. So I try to make the most in-depth makeup tutorials so that no one is confused. For today's makeup lesson, I'm going to show you how to do this really simple, easy eye look. If you've never even picked up an eyeshadow brush before, you will be able to create something similar to my eye look by the end of this video. And if you can't and you're still confused, you can punch me in the face. It's okay. It's cool. Whatever. First step before any eyeshadow is to go in with an eye primer. The reason why an eye primer is so important is because the veins on your eyelid are going to show through your eyeshadow, so you want to cover those up. Other reason why eye primer is important is because it gives the eyeshadow something to grip to. You want your eyelid to feel just a little bit tacky. It's also going to make your eyeshadow a lot more pigmented, but if you don't have the funds or anything in your collection like this, you can just use what's called a concealer or a foundation. A concealer or foundation is not going to help the longevity of your eyeshadow if your eyelids are very oily and greasy, but it will give the eyeshadow something to grip to and in return make it more pigmented and blend easier. Sometimes people do get pretty mad when I say you can use a concealer or foundation in replace of an eye primer, because eye primer is technically different, but it's fine. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you really okay, sorry. I'm assuming that you're watching this because you are a beginner. I don't expect you to have all of these products. A lot of people just have like a little tiny travel size bag and they have the necessities. That's what we're gonna work with today. I'm just gonna go in with my concealer. This is a Maybelline Fit Me. It's like $5. I'm only going to do one dot. You do not want a lot of eye primer. If you put too much on, it can build up and be really cakey. It's more likely to crease throughout the day. Now to blend this out, I'm gonna take my finger. I'm not flipping you off, I promise. Pull it backwards until it looks blended. If your eye is looking very patchy and splotchy, that just means you have to go in and blend it out a little bit more. If your veins are very pigmented and you can still see them, you can add one more dot. When I'm swiping this backwards, I'm not like dragging my eyelid skin, like I'm using very light pressure. You don't want wrinkles at the age of 12, okay? Sorry. You are going to look for an eyeshadow palette. If you are someone who doesn't have any eyeshadow, look for things you do have that are a powder. If you have a blush or a contour or even a highlighter, you can use those on your eye as well. My favorite eyeshadow brand for beginners is ColourPop. They're pretty affordable and they normally have sales going on. They blend very easily, so you're not gonna have to worry about much. But for today, I'm only gonna use this little quad palette. This one is Kaleidos Venus Trap palette. Use whatever you have on hand is okay. We are going to use two brushes today. You're gonna look for a blending brush. These kind of look like a little broom, okay? You're gonna sweep the floor. You want one that's like around the size of your eye. Not super big, but not super small. Next brush you're gonna look for is a lot smaller. So you want a big brush and a small brush. This is technically called a packing brush. Another thing I should say, fluffy brushes are very soft and they're fluffy. I've seen a lot of people use like concealer brushes or like really thick, dense brushes because they look fluffy, but they're not. See how this one doesn't move around? It's very dense. See how this one just moves everywhere? It's very light and fluffy. This is what you want. You can use any color that you want. If you want to take brown, gray, blue, pink, whatever. Just make sure that you have a light shade, a dark shade, and a medium shade. I'm gonna go in with the medium shade. I'm gonna take that smaller brush and just tap some on. Then you can also just tap your brush on the side, because if you have too much eyeshadow on your brush, sometimes it can fall underneath your eye and create what's called fallout, and that is very hard and difficult to get off, and you will cry. When I talk, I raise my eyebrows up. Don't do that. Relax your face, because if you have what's called hooded eyes and you put this on your eye, when you fully relax your face, it completely disappears because your skin folds over it. I hope that makes sense. If not, I apologize. You're gonna have this little flap of skin right here. Everybody's eye and hood is different. Mine might be really low, but yours could be up here. It doesn't matter. Just wherever this line is for you, that is where you're going to put your eyeshadow. I'm going to just draw a line right above it. I also like to refer to this as a little flap of skin. It grosses a lot of people out when I say that. It is what it is, people. I don't know what to tell you. That is how high up you have to bring your eyeshadow in order for people to see it. So now that I have my guideline, dipping back into that eyeshadow, I'm just pressing more on top. If your eyeshadow is looking like this, see how splotchy and uneven that looks? That just means you have to take more on your brush and pack a lot more on. And I'm only bringing this shade to like the center of my eye. Take this brush and you're just gonna wipe some of that eyeshadow off. Most eyeshadow looks are very soft. They're blended. They have a gradient. There's no harsh line. This is a very harsh line. And right at the edge of this line, I'm just gonna take my brush and go side to side. It does not have to be perfect. And I'm also using very light pressure. You don't want to like drag your eyelid skin when you're doing this. If you're worried that you're applying too much pressure, just hold your brush towards the middle or the end of the handle and then go to blend. Now we're going to go into the really big fluffy blending brush. First, you're going to go in and take your brush with absolutely no product on it. Just go side to side and really blend it out as best as you can. You can also take your brush and go in little circles while going side to side. Another thing I like to do is take this outer corner and pull it upwards because my eyes tilt downwards a little bit and I want my eyes to look up and lifted. When you blend with a really big brush like this, you're more likely to wipe away too much of your eyeshadow. So if you did in fact wipe all of it off, just go back in and just apply a little bit more. I'm gonna go into the lightest shade. This should be close to your skin tone. If you do not have an eyeshadow close to your skin tone, you can take your face powder that you use to set your makeup. I'm going to take this light pink. I'm going to go on top of that gray eyeshadow. Like I said, just going side to side in little circles. Very light pressure, holding the brush at the back of the handle. The reason why I'm using an eyeshadow close to my skin tone and going over everything is going to help with the blending and soften everything up. We're gonna go into our shimmer. If you don't have an actual eyeshadow like this, you can use a highlighter that you put on your cheeks. I'm just gonna use my finger and right on the inner corner, closest to my nose, I'm going to tap some on. I like to bring my shimmer right up to my eyebrow. You're going to take a clean finger. This is clean, yes. And you're just going to take that glitter or shimmer, whatever you used, and pull it backwards. The reason why I'm doing this is because on this eye, you can see that there is just a harsh line. It's just glitter and then nothing. By flicking it backwards, you're making like a gradient, so when you turn your eye, there's no harshness. I hope that makes sense. I don't know, people. I'm gonna go back into that really tiny brush and I'm gonna use whatever is left over on it. I'm not gonna add anything else. And I'm going to look up and run this underneath my lashes. You want to use a small brush for this because if you use a really big brush, that's gonna go everywhere and you might get what's called raccoon eyes. You can even take some on your finger and just smudge it back and forth. This is what it looks like with just mascara and this is what it looks like with like a natural pair of eyelashes. You don't need eyelashes for your eyeshadow to look good. I just hate my natural eyelashes. My friends, they don't wear makeup. They're like, I really want to do what you do, like the fake eyelashes and stuff. And I'm like, girl, have you looked in the mirror? You don't need them. You have these eyelashes naturally. You can use this technique of eyeshadow with any color that you want. It could be red, it could be green. And remember that for future tutorials that you ever watch. Like if you see an eyeshadow look and you're like, oh, I want this but in purple, can you make one? You can just use purple. Like you don't have to watch like another tutorial just for that shade of purple. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope I yapped a normal amount and you're happy. Goodbye.